All right, welcome to the show, y'all. We have a lot to get to today. So in just a second, some bombshell Trump and Epstein news. We just learned that Epstein got a lot of his human trafficking tips from Trump directly. I mean, this is something, one of the original investigative reporters who was looking at all this Epstein stuff, she came out and told us that fact. So I have that video for you. Lots to say about that. Then we'll get to the secret plan for the U.S. military to invade major cities all across this country has been revealed. As you all know, they already illegally invaded California. They invaded Los Angeles. They both nationalized the National Guard that's there and sent in the Marines. So this is the plan across the entire country. We'll talk about that. Then we'll get to Tim Dillon goes nuclear on Barry Weiss. That's a fun clip. Elon Musk apparently continued to donate millions of dollars to Trump, even as he was calling him a fredophile publicly. I don't know how that adds up. Somebody please explain how that makes sense. And then later on, we also have Rogan can't stop shitting on the left, even as MAGA is destroying America right in front of our faces. So I'll have a lot to say about that. You guys know the deal. Everybody please subscribe to the channel. That helps out big time and costs you nothing. Thank you to everybody who supports this show on Patreon. We couldn't do it without you. This is real independent media. I've never talked to any advertisers. I've never done any ad reads. I've never talked to billionaires or any governments or anything like that. You guys fund the show from the ground up, so please consider supporting on Patreon. That link is below. You could also support the show on Substack, Crystal, Kyle, and Friends. That link is below as well. $5 a month gets you the video of every interview, and it gets it to you a day early. You could also sign up for free if you'd like to get the free audio podcast as soon as they drop. And go sub to Corin's World, the YouTube channel, where we play Kyle and Corin live. We do that every single week, or at least we're trying to. You don't want to miss them. They're fun, so you can come hang out with us on Mondays at 8:30. The Corin's World YouTube channel. Go subscribe to it. All right, guys, let's go ahead and dive into it. So as I said, colossal news for you. So Julie Brown, who was literally like the main journalist who first started going after this Epstein stuff, she said the following on the Midas Touch Network, and this to me is just mind-boggling. Listen to this.
Well, there was that came out as part of the discovery in one of the lawsuits. Brad Edwards, who represented a number of victims, deposed Epstein had a company, a modeling company, and Brad Edwards deposed the accountant who worked for that company, worked for Epstein's company, modeling company. And in that deposition, she provided a lot of detail about what he was doing. And it's clear that he was using that company, a modeling company, as a cover in part for the sex trafficking that he was doing, because she was describing exactly what they would do. They would send the younger girls down to Epstein's place in Palm Beach. And she just gave more detail than we had before, including the fact that when Epstein formed that company, he said to her, "I want it to be set up just like Donald Trump's modeling agency." So what that means,
that's in that record that she testified to that under oath.
Right.
That Epstein said that he wanted to model his modeling company that he would invest in on Trump's.
So Epstein's modeling company was a front for human trafficking. And Epstein allegedly said, hey, I want to make my modeling company the same way that Trump made his modeling company. In other words, his human trafficking ring, his human trafficking empire that he created, in part, was based off information he got from Donald Trump. I don't know why mainstream media has not gone down this rabbit hole yet, man, because there is so much there. You guys know this. We've covered it in detail with a number of segments on this channel, but the bottom line is, you have people, John Casablancas, Jean-Luc Brunel, Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump. These are all guys who, at one point or another, had a modeling agencies, teenage modeling agencies, and they were a front for human trafficking, taking young girls from post-Soviet bloc countries and doing Lord knows what with them. I mean, this is disgusting. And this is all on the record. And we have all the articles of, rappers in the 90s who were famous said, hey, I went to a Trump party. There were these underage girls who were doing drugs and having sex, and Trump was involved and Trump was participating. And an article in the New York Daily News that said the same thing about these alleged, orgy sex parties at Trump hotels with underage girls because he ran this teen modeling agency. That's why we just saw the videos. Midas Touch released those. 1991, Trump is at some teenage beauty pageant judging the girls. Trump was on Howard Stern saying, well, I owned some of these beauty pageants, and so I would be allowed as a 50-year-old man to go in there when these young girls are changing and they're naked, and I get to go in there and say, hey, is everything okay? Ooh, that's a beautiful girl. Is everything okay? Openly talking about how much of a perverted creep he is. So they need to go deeper. The media needs to go deeper on these stories because look at John Casablancas, Jean-Luc Brunel. These are well-known fredophiles. These were human trafficking fronts, the modeling agencies. Think about how dirty a business that is. You got grown men in teenage beauty pageants involved with teenage models. What do you think this is? Of course it is what it is. And now we learned Jeffrey Epstein was getting tips on how to do this from Trump himself. Holy cow, I don't know why the media hasn't gone further on this. So we just got this video too. Midas Touch Network somehow dug this one up. This is from 2006. Listen to what happens here. You have this young girl who says to Trump, I don't know how old this girl is. Hey, could I be a flight attendant on your airplane, a stewardess on your airplane? And he goes, you're hired. And it's because he views her as attractive, right? And then, as you'll see here, Trump starts telling a story about hiring a 17-year-old girl for this position because she was attractive. And then listen to what he says at the end. This is something that should honestly scare the shit out of everybody, because his mask slips here for a moment. Watch this.
I have a question. My question is, how many jets do you have, and how would I apply to be flight attendants?
I think she's hired. You're hired. Now, I have a case. It was very interesting. A beautiful girl who was 17 or 18 applied to be a waitress. She's so beautiful. She's like a world-class beauty, like the young lady who just asked the question about the actress. She's so beautiful. And my people came, she said, but Mr. Trump, she has no experience. So I interviewed her anyway, because she was so beautiful. And I said, let me ask you, do you have any experience? She goes, no, sir. I said, when can you start? You only can work at my plant anytime. Yeah.
All right, ready? Now listen to this. This is where it turns dark.
See, now, she worked at my plant. That's like a death wish for me, right? That's like an alcoholic. I have many friends that are wonderful people. They're alcoholics. You put scotch in front of them. It's like, this would be my form of alcoholism.
Saying, yeah, you put this girl in front of me. This is like a death wish for me. Because, just like how alcoholics, they see alcohol, they start shaking. This is like alcoholism for me. I can't help myself. This lines up perfectly with the behind-the-scenes Access Hollywood tape where I can't help myself. When I see a beautiful woman, I just start kissing them. I better have a Tic Tac. I might start kissing her. And then, you start doing things. You grab them. When you're a star, they let you do it. I grab him by the pussy. I don't even wait. He doesn't wait for what? He doesn't wait for consent. And here he is yet again validating it, telling a story about 17, 18-year-olds he's hired and talking about how he wouldn't be able to help himself. The guy is a fucking perv, and he's a creep. And that's what it is. And the question is, how many crimes is he guilty of? Because we already know he's charged, or he was accused, 27 different accusations against this man. 27 different accusations. So again, the more stuff comes out, I mean, it's just a drip, drip, drip. But this criminal conspiracy goes fucking deep, y'all. It goes deep. All right, more. Trump allegedly handed Prince Andrew a list of masseuses after the two men engaged in a sick conversation about pussy. So, two disgusting, horn dogs, and Trump handed him a list of, masseuses that are really probably brothels, letting him in on, hey, this is the place you go to get off. It's just absolutely, absolutely disturbing. And I still have one more for you guys. This one is kind of crazy here. So here you have a former senior Mossad agent, and he talks about the Epstein blackmail and how that that impacted the peace negotiations from the 1990s. Now, Ryan Grimm reported the other day that Netanyahu had tried to blackmail Bill Clinton by saying, hey, we have the tapes of you and Monica Lewinsky having phone sex. And so that was held over Bill Clinton's head. And listen to what this guy says, because this is wild.
Last week, Epstein's lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, came on this show, the emeritus professor of law at Harvard, and said, no, Trump's behavior as regards Gaza, as regards bombing Iran, as regards bombing Yemen, all his behavior can't be explained by any blackmail tapes of Trump. Do you believe in any way that the genocide in Gaza is being prolonged by the late Jeffrey Epstein?
I certainly believe that the Israelis are making sure that the Americans do not stop them from the killing in Gaza. I believe that the American government is sort of trapped by the Israelis. Jeffrey Epstein is one of their tools to trap them.
And what do you think of Dershowitz's denial?
Hold on a second. I want to give you an example. Bill Clinton, President Bill Clinton, Ehud Barak met Arafat in the 90s, and there was no deal. The reason was Epstein. They were being blackmailed by Epstein. Ehud Barak was also a friend of Epstein, the prime minister of Israel at the time. But he was being blackmailed by the Israeli right wing as well. And they stopped an agreement with Arafat. They were about to reach an agreement there for a two-state solution. But that was stopped because of Epstein.
Oh.
They were both being blackmailed by Epstein.
Ehud Barak has been
God.
on this show. He walked off this show. People can look it up. And that was not because I asked him about any blackmail alleged evidence against him.
Bro, what? What? So according to this former senior Mossad agent, he says it was Epstein blackmail. It was Epstein blackmail that blocked the approval of that deal, of that two-state solution negotiation that was happening at the time with Arafat. And we all know, we've all heard the different narratives around that, right? The Israelis always blame, oh, Arafat didn't take the deal, and Arafat, always would chicken out at the last minute or whatever. And of course, on the Palestinian side, they correctly say, in my opinion, that the deal was fucking bullshit, and it wasn't even a real state that they were being given. It was like granting these like limited Bantustans and calling it a Palestinian state or whatever. Couldn't have a military, couldn't control their airspace, et cetera, et cetera. There's all these issues with it. But this guy saying, look, the deal was done, and it was actually Epstein blackmail that was used to hold over the head of both Ehud Barak and Bill Clinton to say we're killing the deal. Holy shit. Why is nobody talking about that? I swear to God, man. Look, not to pat myself on the back too hard here, but I get why all you guys watch this show, because you're not hearing about this shit fucking anywhere, bro. You're really, nobody's talking about this. This is crazy. I don't know how this isn't giant news. I don't know how everybody's not talking about this. But there it is, man. This story, whenever you think you get to the bottom of it, no, wrong. You can go deeper. There's another layer underneath it. And here we are. We keep peeling those layers back, and holy shit, does it get darker and darker and darker. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.